This is the story of how I got, uh, I'll show it later, how I passed CIMA, operational case study in 2 weeks. And this is not me saying that's a big result or a small result or that's a big thing to study in 2 weeks or not. This is just how I did it. And if someone is in the same position, I hope this would provide some value. So that's the whole goal of this video. Let's start. Before I tell how I did it, I'll just give a little backstory about how I got into that position. So I was learning regularly from my lectures, and then I didn't. I kind of skipped the classes because I had work and uh, I was teaching some students 1 year younger than me. So I was busy being a teacher and an employee. Being a student kind of got deprioritized. So anyway, before like 2 weeks before the exam, I felt the heat. So I said to my boss that I need 2 weeks leave, and I told my students that I have an exam, so give me 2 weeks off, right? So that's that was the whole situation, right? Now, in this position, I had a bunch of recordings, a bunch of lectures to watch, and a bunch of notes of stuff that I didn't know, right? So I did my A levels last year, so I knew like double entries and some financial standards and stuff, but 70 to 80% of the syllabus I didn't know what was going on, right? Management accounting and I don't even remember the subject name. E1, P1, F1, right? So anyway, I did some stuff right and I got this result, right? I got 111 out of 150. So I passed. I was nervous because this was my first experience doing a case study, but anyway, this is how I did it, right? So I had 2 weeks. I didn't know what to do. And what I knew was I don't have a lot of time here. And I need to find and do the most effective thing that I can do, right? Whatever it is. So one thing I realized was even back then when I was doing any exam, I look at the past papers and check for the repeated type of questions, the most tested ones, most tested areas, right? So, so I realized like what is more important, so I can put more time into that instead of equally on all the lessons, right? So, first thing I did was I understood the importance of each area and focus on like the most important ones first, right? So, that's step 1. And what are some areas? So, I found this on Reddit. This was after my exam, but I got this on my Gmail notification. So, this is a good analysis. So, these are the areas that you will tested most likely in operational case study. ABC costing, costing digital products, digital costing systems, marginal V, absorption costing, and coactivity B, time series, what if analysis, ZBB, participation, top down budgeting, KPIs, variances, and here are some standards. And IFRS 5, I wasn't familiar, I didn't have time to do it, I wasn't familiar with it, and this was asked in my case study, and I messed it up. Coactivity E, relevant costing decision trees, except expected values, linear programming, maximax, maximin, CVP. This wasn't much in my exam. I don't know about the other variants, but yeah, mainly it was a bunch of this costing and budgeting and KPIs and variances. These were tested a lot, and standards were there a bit, and these relevant costing was there, but the others weren't there much. But then working capital cycle, they were like a couple. Yeah, so you need to have an understanding what are the most tested areas and focus them on those more. And anyway, in the process of studying like these areas, I just sketched down into a simpler note, whatever this complex note I had, and simplified it, easy to remember and easy to understand. So that's what I did, right? So that's the first thing I did. I focused on the most important areas and under- tried to understand those my best, right? In this process, when something was too complex and complicated that I couldn't understand, what I did was I just I copied that note or whatever that note I had. I put it into ChatGPT or Gemini. Mostly ChatGPT back then. Now I use Gemini more. I asked it to explain it to me like I'm a toddler, right? I asked ChatGPT to explain IAS 16 to me like I'm a toddler. Explain ABC costing to me like I'm a toddler. And it gives very nice examples and analogies, and it makes it much more easier to understand when you start from there, right? You get the basic layout when you ask it to explain it to you like a toddler. So, step one was understanding and mastering the technical areas, and I think I did up to 80% of that. The next important thing is you need uh, to be familiar with the pre-scene. I didn't read the whole thing. I watched a YouTube video about analyzing it, another video, because it was much easier to then read through all of it. So for me, there was a bread company called Halfpenny, and yeah. So simple idea is you need to be familiar with the company and the key personnel and the names of these people and the board structure and our products. You need to have some idea about it because you need to reference that in the exam. So if you are asked some environmental related thing, if there's a guy in your company who is focused on sustainability, you can relate that, right? So that's what makes your answer better than most students, because most people go there and write theory stuff, but you have to write more practical stuff, right? Practical and applicable to the present company, right? And the exam question that you're given. Just pretend that you are the financial executive or this manager in this company. That's all you got to know. So all you got to do, once you start pretending like that, you get familiar with the company and you think in terms of the company whenever you are asked a question. Which gets me to the third point: you need to practice questions. You need to do mock exams as much as you can. I did like 3 fully because that's all I could do within the time frame I was given. And for the first one, I scored around what 80, and then the second one they didn't mark because I didn't do it fully, and the third one I got around 70. Right? I had 80, and then it came down to 70. But anyway, I went to the exam and did my best and got 111. Right? So I think doing mock exams before the final real exam helped me a lot to improve my writing. You have to practice more questions, and it is important that you get those tested. Even in CIMA, they give you 3 to 5 mock exams each round, and do those, get that feedback, and that matters. So getting your technical areas masters competencies mastered, and then familiarizing yourself with the pre-scene, and then finally you have to do mock exams. If you get these 3 mastered, like it doesn't matter what time frame you have, these 3 are the key things, which I did for MCS as well, but I did it over a month. The results are pending, so I wouldn't make a video about my MCS, but this is the story of how I did OCS, operational case study, in 2 weeks and got 111 out of 150.